Event where we recognize these athletes, Belen alumni, who have contributed significantly to our athletic program and their fame. You know, when I mentioned that I was coming to this earlier today, a Belen alumnus who will remain nameless says, you know, you guys must be running out of candidates because Alex Hoyos really is in the Hall of Fame. But I assure you that, yeah, no, Alex Hoyos, of course, without a doubt. All kidding aside, it gives me great pleasure to stand here and to recognize Belen athletes who have helped to really put Belen on the map athletically. There's always been extraordinary athletes at Belen. One of the things that I was mentioning to Coach Marquis and to many others is we're having this year probably the most successful athletic year we have ever had in our history. And it's an incredible thing. Absolutely. The school has set a new record with the state championship in every season so far. So fall, winter, and spring have had all state championships, and we still have 3 teams that are moving along with baseball, volleyball, and track with the possibility of also winning another state championship. So what we're doing this year athletically with coaches of the year and student athletes of the year, and who knows what other recognitions we're going to have, it's been an incredible year, but you don't get to this point without being able to stand on the shoulders of giants that have come before us. And I would venture to say to a very large extent that with Belen's emphasis on academics our whole life, I would say that the emphasis on athletics there's always been athletics, but that emphasis has been growing exponentially since we're living in a world, in a society, and at the university level where they take so much interest in that one particular area. Belen has to find a way of striking the balance between extraordinary athletic program, never jeopardizing the academic integrity of the school. And this is so incredibly important. I tell the students at the end of the year when we have the students signing their letters of intent to play sports at the next level, to go to college, one of the things that I remind them and I remind their parents is, for me, the Belen athlete is even more extraordinary than most athletes out there. Because I can tell you, and I stand here with great pride in saying, that every athlete of our school has to maintain the same academic discipline as any other student. There is not a single athlete at Belen that cuts a corner, whose academic standards are lower because he happens to be an athlete. And those of you who are being inducted into the Hall of Fame today can attest to the fact that nobody cut you any slack when it came to your academics. You had to produce just as much as the guy who went home every afternoon at 3 p.m. just to wake up the next morning and get here at 8 o'clock in the morning. You were here until 7, 8 at night. You traveled for all the games. During the off seasons with spring or the summer, you were practicing, you were working out, and all the time having to make the grade, having to do the studies, having to meet all the obligations that Belen put upon you. It is for that reason that to induct you into the Belen Sports Hall of Fame means more. Because your focus and excelling on the baseball mound, on the baseball field, or excelling on the football field, or excelling in track, or wherever it is you played your sport, you had to do all of that while also excelling in the classroom. That's a very unique thing. And so to be honest with you, this Hall of Fame takes on that much more significance because you were able to really stand out athletically in a school that demanded so much academically. And so I want to congratulate every single member that's being inducted today. It goes without saying, as someone who really loves sports and loves the fact that our kids are doing so well in it, I want to also take the opportunity to congratulate Coach Carlos Marquis and Coach Richard Stewart for the athletic program that they've been able to build over the years. You know, 60 years ago, when Belen started in Miami, that athletic program was, Marquis can tell you, and actually better even than Marquis can tell you, is Mariano Loreto Mora, who was our first athletic director here at Belen. They can tell you what it was at the very beginning when we started here in Miami and what we've come to at this point. For those of you who were able to play sports in Belen in Cuba, with some of the great and legendary coaches of the time, you understand how significant and important this is. For St. Ignatius of Loyola, from the very beginning, to be able to train the body just as much as the soul and the mind. And so I want to congratulate all of you for your extraordinary work and for getting to this point where the school community recognizes you and also thanks you for your contributions to Belen and making it what it is. You know, I do have the pleasure of telling you, and many of you haven't been to Belen in a long time. It's great to see Coach Phil Dombowski here after not seeing him for 30 years. I don't mind saying this publicly. I've known him since I was 8 years old because his mother was my PE coach for 8 years while I was a student at St. Timothy's. So I've grown up with the Dombowskis. Actually, they grew up a lot bigger than I did. I stayed a little smaller than they did. But many of you have not been on this campus for a long time. You know that we've been very blessed with the new chapel that we built. We opened the chapel. If any of you are interested in making your way to the chapel afterwards to take a look at the inside of the chapel, it will be open after the ceremony for you to visit. And I welcome you because listen, while we train the muscles out there, and while we train the brain in there, we feed the soul and train the heart over there. And so I invite you to be sure to go over there and be able to enjoy that space. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Father Willie. At this time, I'd like to invite Juan Rodriguez, the chairman of the Hall of Fame Committee, to come up and say a few words.
Carlos. Congratulations to all the inductees. Hopefully this is something that you will cherish and honor for all the rest of your lives. I want to take a second to thank the Sports Hall of Fame Committee, members that are here. If I call your name, I please ask you to stand. There are 9 total members. I believe only one of them is not here. That's Alex Akeda, who's in Massachusetts. Our newest member, our home ranger, hopefully enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and thank you.
Our first athlete. This athlete was a 6-year varsity letterman in wrestling, 2-year letterman in varsity track and field, first 8th grader to win a district title, 4-time state qualifier, state champion in 2002, 2002 athlete of the year, came back to his alma mater and was the assistant varsity wrestling coach from 2003 to 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, from the class of 2002, Mr. David Belen.
Thank you guys so much. This is a huge honor. First and foremost, I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for the constant love and support of my family.
Mom, thank you always for taking me to practices, cheering me on, believing in me. You're the rock of this family. Dad, without you, this would have been almost impossible. Thank you for everything, diving with me, hitting the field with me, all those late night practices. Christy, Danny, thank you for always cheering me on and making it to Lakeland. Really meant a lot. Y fíjate, fíjate, sin ti, esto es imposible. Tú tienes un don, tú sabes cuándo hay que dar una galleta, cuándo hay que dar un cariño. Y por eso tú eres el coach. Thank you, Belen. Everything is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Now, our next is this is one of the things that I love about this Hall of Fame, is the fact that we also include the school from Havana, Cuba. We've been around for 167 years, nonstop, and this is a true testament to who we are, our traditions, and what we do. So this next thing is someone very special here to my heart. And I asked Mark Barkey here to give him his plaque. This gentleman was a varsity baseball player, letterman at the time, varsity track and field, 100 meters, 200 meters, 4x100 meter relay, and javelin. He ran track for the University of Havana, and he was a Cuban champion in the javelin in 1959. He told me last night he was invited to go to Venezuela for a competition, but unfortunately that was canceled due to the decision from the political regime at the time. Considered one of the best all-around athletes of his decade. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Luis Fernando de Gato.
Good afternoon. I'm not a good speaker, but I'm sorry. I started in Belen in 1943. And when 11 years, my brother worked to Lasado, and my parents had the good, to work to Belen. And then I lived about 6 blocks from Belen. It was my second home. I used to go every Saturday there to play ball with the kids. And my mother used to go to mass every day. And I want to thank the committee for nominating me. I think there's other athletes that deserve. But thanks a lot. Okay? Thank you.
There's three gentlemen that I'd like to call up right now. That is Coach Richard Stewart, Coach Phil Dembowski, and Coach Jordan Rodriguez. Come up here. Sorry. So I am going to tell you this. This next individual, this will be the one thing I will say. I had the honor of giving him the baton in the 4x100 meter relay. I was the third leg, he was the fourth leg. Coach Dembowski was our coach. He started me out in the fourth leg, but I didn't cut it. He goes, I want Eddie in there. I go, okay, fine. I went on the third leg, and from then on, it was such a great watching him run. After giving him the baton, we had great success. 4-year letterman in football, 3-year letterman in track and field, football offense MVP senior year, set Belen single season rushing record his senior year, Then Miami-Dade County Rushing his senior year, voted Athlete of the Year in 1988, set school records in the 4x100 meter relay team, 100 meters, and 200 meters. Coaches Award in 1987 for track. Most valuable player for track in 1988. Went on to play college for Johns Hopkins University for 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, from the class of 1988, Eddie Ross.
35 years ago, Belen was a much different place. It was a lot smaller. There was about 100 kids per class. Everybody kind of knew each other. Athletically, it was a lot different also. We don't talk about state championships, so maybe cross country. And, we didn't have these kind of facilities. There was no gym, there was no track, there was no athletic center. We were just kind of, and our coaches, they were all in their early 20s. I mean, we were like friends, just kind of figuring things out. The football team, it was also much different. It was, we were hitting rock bottom. When I was a senior, the previous 2 years, we had only won 3 games and lost 17. It was something that we just had to, muscle our way through, and we found a way to figure out. Really, the only thing that was the same from back then to now was that Coach Parking was the athletic director, and no one could understand a word he was saying. There was rumors before my senior year that they were gonna just cancel the football program altogether because of we didn't even have enough players to scrimmage, right? So we just needed to figure this thing out. Our coach, there was rumors he was going to be fired. We weren't so sure about our coach. He was young, he was inexperienced, he couldn't speak Spanish. It was Columbus driving, for Christ's sake. But something happened in the fall of 1987 that was so special that it changed the football program. And but the real reason that we're here today is because that young, inexperienced coach, he ended up being so inspired by what happened, he stuck around for another 30 years, got about another 207 games and became the winningest coach. And, Coach Stewart, the godfather of Belen football, called me a couple months ago and informed me that I'd be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I was flattered, but I was also kind of embarrassed because I feel that I always got a lot of recognition for something that was accomplished as a team. So if you guys will hear me, I take a couple extra minutes, I'm going to tell you a little story about the 1987 NBA football team. They're all sitting back there today. So to tell the story correctly, I got to go back a couple of years to the class of '86, the 1985-86 football team. That was the class that was supposed to put football on the map. They were loaded with talent. And because of injury and because of guys getting kicked out of school for grades, the team fell apart and they won 2 games and lost 8. But there was one guy on that team that stood out above all the rest. He was intense, everybody respected him. He got so angry when we lose games on the road that he wouldn't take his helmet and football pants off until we got back to school. No one even sit next to him. I got to know this guy really well because he's my older brother. He's also in the Belen Hall of Fame, and he really set the tone for us on what it was to win football games. In addition to that, me and my classmates started the season on JV. We played football for Coach Jesuit, who was probably more intense than my brother. Losing was not tolerated, he demanded perfection. But if he asked any of us to walk one to a brick building from today, we'd follow, no questions asked. Between my brother and Coach Gonzalez, I can tell you there's a saying in sports, everybody wants to win, but there's only a few that hate to lose. Between my brother and Coach Gonzalez, that lesson was very clear. The following year, we felt that after that debacle, there was no way things could get any worse, but they did. Despite having a quarterback with a very strong arm and a running back that was much more talented than I was, the team won 1 game and lost 9. Father Willie loves to stand up at the podium and tell everybody the class of 1987 was the greatest class in Belen football history. Well, he wasn't talking about the football team, I can tell you that. That team was bad. So the following year, going into my senior year, there was no expectations. Everybody thought that, we're just going to go through the motions. We even play a district schedule because we were still concerned about what was going to happen that year. But my senior class, we decided that the losing had to stop and things had to be turned around. So we recruited a bunch of players that had never played before, so we could scrimmage and fill in some holes, and we went about it, right? We wanted to work, we put in the effort, and we figured we had this thing figured out. First game of the season, we lost the game we should have won, and we were demoralized. And we thought things were never gonna, turn around. So Stuart gave us this principal speech that really freaked us out, and it was like looking into an abyss. And sometimes if you look into a abyss long enough, it looks back at you, and it tells you what you're made of. And that's what happened. And so advice for everyone out there, if you're ever looking at the abyss, there's one person that you want standing next to you. And that man's name is Phil Dombrowski. Phil Dombrowski. Phil Dombrowski was a passionate man. He was a joy about him. He loved life. And he loved football. But more than that, he loved his players even more. And we love him. So Phil Dombrowski, he had a very special talent. His special talent was he could teach a 180-pound man how to block a 240-pound man. And he got the offensive line together. Rene Sanchez, Jose Romano, Maurice Milton, Mario Martinez, Manny Fredo, George Jesuit, and he taught us how to run the football. And one thing about football that Belen had never figured out before is if you want to win games against stronger, faster guys, you have to control the football. And we got really good at it. We knew that no matter what happened, we could gain 5 yards. So that's what we did. We gained 5 yards at a time, over and over again. One play at a time, one drive at a time, one quarter at a time, one game at a time. And we won 8 games in a row. And that changed everything for Belen football. It really did. And I think we're all better people because of it. And if you don't believe me, there's 3 tables right there of guys after 35 years that showed up to celebrate what happened. And I remember our crowning achievement was like the 7th or 8th game of the season, we went up to Pinecrest, and we after kicking off the ball the second half, they pinned us inside of our 5-yard line. We were our own 4-yard line. We ran the ball 15 times in a row. We drove the ball the length of the field and imposed our will on the other team. And we scored a touchdown. The game was basically over. And that was the moment that Belen football got swag for the first time. And since then, it's never the same. When we came off the field, I remember Coach Fell standing at the bus waiting for us, because he had been a part of the football program for a couple of years, and he heard about the team and showed up, and he just sat there and nodded at us and kind of confirmed what we already knew, that swag was there. And again, I give credit to all the players that were alongside me during that time. Anyway, the next time you walk into the Belen gym, I want you walk into the basketball here to the left, there's a big banner that says the Gulfstream Conference, Athletic Conference, and at the very bottom it says football 1987. There's a small memorial of what happened that year and what changed Belen football forever. Before I leave, I just want to recognize a couple of people out in the crowd. My mom and dad are here. Got a question for you. How does it feel to be the first parents in Belen history to have 2 sons in the Hall of Fame? And that's it to my wife and kids. My son, Andres, is not here, but EJ and Amina, my wife Gloria, are here. I got a message for you. See this jacket? You'll never aspire to wear a jacket like this. Don't worry about the trophies. Don't worry about any individual recognition. There's only one thing that matters, and that's earning the trust and respect of those you play for, those you play with, and those you play against. If you do that, nothing else matters. Thank you, guys.
Coach Jesuit to stay on for our next inductee. 3-sport athlete, lettered in football, basketball, and baseball. All-day second team in football, honorable mention in basketball and baseball. Miami Herald Scholar Athlete Finalist, Athlete of the Year in 1992, the recipient of the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame Jack Harding Chapter Scholar Athlete Award. Ladies and gentlemen, from the class of 1992, Alex Boyd.
Not going after you, buddy. So, first of all, I have to thank the committee. Thank you for considering me and approving me for this tremendous honor. It's amazing. Obviously, I got to thank all my teammates and my classmates, the ones that are here, and the ones that couldn't make it. Unfortunately, a few of them had to cancel at the last second. I have to name, of course, Javier Maciga in particular, who's not here today, couldn't make it. But he was the guy who made it like his mission for me to get this honor. He always insisted on it, and he was the first guy that I called when I heard. I think he was happier than I was. Obviously, I have to start by thanking my parents. My father, who, man, this is crazy. Okay, my father was the driving force for me my whole life with sports. From an early age, he coached every little league team I was on, every all-star team. He coached all my friends, and he was always the one urging and pushing, or forcing, if you will, to keep playing, to keep trying, to keep getting better. And he was the one that, I wish I could say I was getting up and going to work out on the weekends and trying to get stronger and better on myself. And that wasn't me. That was my father. And it was a family affair because he basically said, if I'm taking him out to practice, my brother doesn't go practice, I don't have to come and catch and shack balls. So it was without him, I don't think I would have ever gotten to the point where I could handle playing, 3 sports in school and studying, because he was also a big disciplinarian. Insisted on academics first. So, for lack of a better word, he was also my biggest fan. He was every game. We were talking about it today. I think the only time he missed one was when he had his leg surgery. And he would make it to the away games, and I never had to look to see where he was, because all I had to do was listen. Everybody knew where he was. The other team knew where he was. The coaches knew. So, he was definitely a driving force for me, for my friends, and we used to talk about the fact that he would yell at them too. And he was also the reason that I would hang in there towards the end of the season and play baseball when I was hurting, the knees, the ankles, everything. It was one after the other, and he insisted that we couldn't quit, so we never quit, which is something that is pretty ideal in this school, right? Right? I would say symbolic of this school, because our teams are known for that. My mother was the ultimate support staff. I have to thank her. I think every weekend, my memory of the weekends was her driving me somewhere, then leaving to take my brother to another game, and then just washing clothes off. And back then, washing clothes was a big deal, because our football team, one of the things we took pride in was, how long can we go without washing our practice clothes?
with the same people all the time. And you take on a level of pride that, I see everybody talk about it, and as they've stepped up here, that was a big deal. It played for us. Even back then, and Eddie told my thunder on the facilities. We didn't have much. We oftentimes consisted of picking up rocks on the football field so you guys could play. So, we saw the baseball, we didn't see the pool built. We saw the baseball field get built. I still remember junior high, we made the final touch for the junior high baseball team. And the next day we were building the field, building the junior high field. And then, of course, we had that constant promise of the gym. We never saw that gym. No grudges. We set it up. I think it was pretty nice. We never got there. But the playing of the uniform was a big deal. And I realized that it also provided a sense of motivation. We were playing for the same guys that we were in school with every day, that we hung out with on the weekends. And then we took those long bus rides with, which, were a lot of fun that we can't discuss. One of the things that you have to think, of course, the coaches, Eddie, again, my thunder, the coaches were tremendous. Coach Coach Aparicio, Coach Fraga, some of the assistants, which one of my favorites, Renee, Coach Roca, Coach Garcia, Marcelo Moreno, and Alvaro. They were all here. They gave so much of themselves. You often wonder, do these guys have lives? Because they're here every weekend, they're here from day to night, and from early in the morning. And as he said, when they come on our facilities, we weren't exactly as genetically gifted as some of the other teams today. We weren't the biggest, we weren't the strongest, we weren't the fastest. But the two things we always had was the constant insistence of the coaches of not giving up, not being intimidated, it was interesting to see because we were always best players in the other football team, we were always shorter than the other basketball team. And we won a lot of games. We won a lot of games even back then. We took the ball from Eddie Ross's class and the classes before us, and we didn't take a step back, we took a step forward. And we didn't win a lot of state championships either, but one of the things we did was, besides having a good time, we made an impression, and obviously the school now makes an even bigger impression on everybody. So, I really have to insist that we acknowledge the coaches here because they were, for a lot of us, that they provided that extra motivation against the other teams at the time were much more gifted and quick, I'd say, right? And then the second thing was, one of the things the coach insisted on was that we be in better shape than every other team we played. So back then, even though we didn't have facilities, we did things like community football practices. Coach, if you do that now, they put you in jail. We had, our basketball team, in which you could have called a cross-country team because all we did was run for half the practice. We ran to Prince of Pisa back. Roca's not here. I was going to mention that one time he took us to FIU, dropped us off, and made us run back and do basketball practice. And we were saying, what are we doing? We're in high tops and a basketball jersey. But you know what? We wore people out because God knows we weren't tall as the other teams. But we wore people out, and one thing we always did was make an impression. We enjoyed the fact that we were the tiny Cuban kid from Belen that just annoyed everyone because we never stopped. We just never stopped when we were playing. We never gave up, and to see how far the school's come now, the championships, 3 so far this year, as Paul Willie mentioned, it's pretty impressive, and it's also, it's humbling because it's something that even though we've been gone a long time, and I know the guys here can attest to it, we take pride in every victory they get now, every championship they get now. It's as if we got it ourselves, We take ownership over the program, even though we've been gone for a long time. So, and then I have to say that despite all the accomplishments I had back then, and that, we experienced, my biggest ones are my kids, my daughter, Leah, my wife, my fantastic son, Andres, who's here now. I can't call you beautiful because we're at Belen, so it's fantastic. But,
Belen varsity basketball MVP for 2 years. Belen varsity volleyball MVP for 2 years. Belen Athlete of the Year in 1997. Miami Herald Athlete of the Year volleyball 1997. After Belen, he continued his career as a pro beach volleyball player and the AVP and European FIVP tour participant. Marcos has been a favorite math teacher in Miami Beach High for many years now. From the class of 1997, I give you Marcus a medal.
Thank you very much. I want to just start by saying thank you to the committee and everyone who voted in for this award. It's great to be here. It's really an honor. I only have great memories from being here. Most of the memories I have from here actually, whenever I'm thinking, it's just from all the sports, all the teams that we played. I'm so thankful to my two teammates and friends, Coach and Lalo, for showing up today. You know, those are the best times, man. It's the one thing I think about the most is all the games, everything you guys already talked about. I mean, it's priceless. Having been able to have this education and experience, and of course I'm going to get to my parents, but before I get there, let me just thank the one coach I think that I really related to most was Coach Roca. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, for serious reasons, but it's okay. He couldn't make it. I really wanted to be here. You know, from junior high through high school, he was always my coach, my math teacher. I don't think he knows how much he really affected my life. I don't know how much he really affected my life. I'm teaching math now, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. Anyway, so I want to thank, first of all, my dad, thanks Dad for, this is like the best dad ever. Okay, you know my dad, he's been like, not only does he go to every game, but he's there at every practice, every beach volleyball training, whatever it is, he's chasing all the balls. I'm like begging him, Dad, can you stop chasing the balls already? Like, I think he broke his leg one time just chasing the balls. He actually broke his foot. I mean, every tournament he's there. If there was a world record for videotaping footage for his sons, he would definitely 100% win that award. So, I really appreciate that. Your support, undying support. Really, really appreciate it. So I don't forget anybody here. Okay, well, obviously. Talk about my mom. Mom. I don't know what to say, Mom. I'm going to say Brendan, all the way from Big 5 to Belen. I mean, just giving me the endless ability to eat as much as I want in Big 5. Just go out there and just play, be free as a kid, which is really all I love to do the most. Just get out there and just play, whatever it was, even if it was about myself, it was like meditation. So, thank you so much for that. Obviously, all the trips everywhere, the games, the practices, rush hour, working at home full time. I don't know how. Nowadays, how you did that back then, I don't know how. So I'm very, very grateful so much more. If I don't say it enough, I just want to say it right here. Thank you so much. And for all those trips, in the car, as far as I may have been, hoping that I would get there in one piece with the driving. I think one of the reasons I can only pinpoint why I got into meditation was maybe because of that. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. But thank you all. I really appreciate it. And I just want to finish by mentioning, last but not least, my brother, Yasin, who's here. Growing up, to be blessed to have an older brother, just as a mentor, as a friend, as a battle partner, growing up and just going up against each other, it's priceless. We can't describe how priceless three-peat for a Division I college school playing for an Olympic coach. I have to mention this, you know. And so to grow up next to him with his drive and his ambition and his dedication, and he basically paved the way for me here in my life. He came here first, you know, and it just made things so much easier for me knowing who all the teachers were already and everything. So I mean, just priceless, priceless. So I really appreciate, you know, having him as a brother. Man. You should be here with me. You should be the second one also at the same time. Thank you very much.
Our next athlete, thank you, Marcus. Our next athlete was a three-year varsity baseball letterman. All-county first team in 2001, 2002, and 2003. All-state second team in 2001. All-state first team in 2002 and 2003. Led the 4A classification in hitting in 2001. Played 4 years in college, and to quote one of his friends, the perfect blend of talent and hard work. He is currently the strength and conditioning coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are in Tampa competing in the playoffs, which happens to have won last night. So go Leafs. Ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, it's his birthday today, so happy birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, Luis Rojas from the class of 2003.
I didn't think I was going to say anything. I sent a video, and I looked back at that video, and there were so many things in that video that I missed. First off, just want to thank the committee for selecting me. I know that last year I got a call, and they told me what it was, and I thought to myself, there's no chance I'm ever going to be able to make this in my line of work. And you know, it's a long hockey season, 82 games, and it took to the very last game, 82, to see if I can, we were going to Tampa or Boston, and it ended up at the start of the line, and I was able to make it. But I want to thank first and foremost my parents, because I know that they worked their tail off to allow me to come to this school, from 6th grade all the way up to the last day here. You know, they worked every day tirelessly. You know, like walking in, first thing I told my kids when I was walking in was like, oh, that's the spot I spent every day till about 6 o'clock at night until I was able to get picked up. You know, and my oldest man looked at me and goes, you were here till 6 o'clock at night? I was like, yeah. You know, baseball practice, and then just sit around and wait till you get your ride. But it's one of those things where the memories just walking through here is it's extraordinary the change that's been made. You know, we were sitting down, like, there's no way that I can throw a salt shaker from that part of the cafeteria to the other part of the cafeteria like we used to do on a daily basis. You know, the sports, you know, living in Canada, you know, between Twitter and Instagram is the best way to follow what's going on here. And it's extraordinary to see the progress that's been made, the championships that have been won from all aspects. You know, just some memories for me from 6th grade on. You know, 6th grade baseball, undefeated baseball team. You know, looking at back at that picture, my dad sent me a whole roll of 500 pictures the other day. And the first one he sent me was that 6th grade baseball team, seeing the guys that were on that team that I still talk to on a weekly basis. You know, we're on WhatsApp chat and we chirp each other back and forth and we reminisce. But that was really the starting point where I think it was mentioned, you know, a little bit ago where, you know, when growing up, you played for a bunch of different teams. You know, whether it was Miami or Pasquale or whatever it may be, and then you get there, you get here, and that's your family. And those are the guys that you play with from 6th grade all the way up to your senior year, until you move on to the NCAA. And, and it's one of those memories that you look back and it's like, holy crap, that was so long ago, but you still see those guys, and you talk to them, and those memories never go away. And then moving on, just trips to Key West with teams, bus rides. I feel like, Belen has always been a more football program, especially through my time here, football, basketball, and when baseball came around, it was in a transition period. Coach Hansen was the head coach. As I was moving into, I think I made the JV team as an 8th grader, going 8th grader, made the JV team. And I had high expectations of moving up to varsity the year after, and that didn't happen. I remember being disappointed. I think it was one of my friends, Alex Estella, some of you may know him, made the varsity team. And I was disappointed because I thought that person might be me. And I remember coming home from practice, our coach, Andy Aguirre, assistant coach, told my dad, I remember standing right next to him, he goes, your son's got a chance, but he's always angry. He's so angry. His attitude is just anger, and it's not necessarily that good. And I remember that like it was yesterday, that I flipped the switch, and it reminded me, my dad reminded me over and over and over, that it was supposed to be fun. That it wasn't about it being angry, and yes, it's disappointments, but it was supposed to be fun. And I think that is what helped me understand that it's a game. Like we play a game, and you guys that work with now, if it's not fun, then there's a problem. And I think that's what allowed me to kind of call forward. And then you got guys that tell you, coaches that tell you that you're not going to make the varsity team at some point, and then you get the face when they go to Ace, you stick it to them, and beat them as a freshman, as a sophomore, and then see them kick the water fountain in the other dugout out of anger, and that makes you feel as a competitor. I think that's what keeps you going, and you learn from it and you grow, and you do it together as a team. And then all the way up to the state tournament where we lost the state championship game. But those memories, those pictures that you look back at, it's one of those things where it makes you grow as a person. I think one of the best decisions I ever made. I think when I was going into my senior year, the thing to do was to transfer schools. I remember that's what everybody was doing. Everybody was transferring school, whether it was for a scholarship or for playing time or for playing for so-and-so. And I had that opportunity, and I remember I came close. I took an entrance exam to Governor. And I walked out of that entrance exam, and I looked at my dad and I said, there's no chance in hell that I'm leaving that. I can't. To my team, to the guys that I grew up with, and it was the best decision I ever made because every time I come back here, and I had the opportunity to move back, when I lived in California with my wife, and we moved back here for a few years, and Coach Albert, gave me the opportunity to come back and help out with the program and coach, and work on the strength and conditioning side, and it was the best decision I ever made because even working with those kids, that just the way they looked up to me, and the way they still do some younger guys that were freshmen when I was a senior. And that really is what makes this so special. Is being here and walking through here, and hopefully, my two sons walking through here, and I don't know if I'll ever be back in Miami, but every time we come back to Miami to visit, this is one stop that we'll definitely make. And I appreciate it. I know my family, my parents appreciate it, especially to them. And thank you so much.
signifies to us. This is a group of athletes that were assembled to compete in the Pepe Barrientos track competition to compete against the best that the communist regime had to offer. They not only won the competition, but set records in the 4x100 meter relay and the 4x200 meter relay. Individually, these athletes excelled in other sports such as baseball, basketball, and soccer. They came together to give Belen its last great sports honor. They were the last group to graduate in Cuba, and they call themselves Los Cadets de la Reina. Cadetes. I'm going to call them individually. I'm going to call the team. And as they hear the name, I'd like them to come up. Belen Abreu is no longer with us. Jose de Goti. Andrés Mera. Alfredo Oliva. Ricardo Baez. Ramon Pope. Alberto Suárez. I give you the 1960 track and field team for a lifetime achievement award.
We all love Belen dearly. We grew up very little. We were very little. We were 8, 9 years old. We went to Belen. Some of us were what was called Pilo. Pilo was boarding. Belen had boarding. So we had to learn everything. We had to learn how to pee. In the basic, for instance, in our little room. Maybe some of you don't know this, but you know. But we grew up, we were little men, little boys, we grew up to be little men. And then we were ready to graduate. In our final year, our country was falling apart. Our school was on the brink of being confiscated. We were criticized for being Catholic, for being Christian. We were criticized for being selected people, even though we were not. But we were supposed to be inferior also, because of who we were. And in that connection, these games were called to prove And with his training, his confidence, and our love for Belen, we went to that meet. And not only did we win, but we embarrassed them. Then we, as we all know, we had to, a few months later, we were all gone from Cuba, abroad, going to exile, going to unknown life, going from a comfortable life to poverty. In many cases, we had no time to bring evidence of what we had done. Last year, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go back 20 years ago, we had our 50th anniversary, and we met here. And I have to thank one of my friends, Alberto Suarez. He mentioned to me, how come Belen has never acknowledged what we did? And from that day on, I personally became interested in getting a story told. Last year, at a delegate meeting here, I rose and I spoke about it. And I have to thank delegates and the directors of the alumni who were very supportive. And they encouraged me to submit our nomination. And as a result of that, here we are. But I have to tell you, a few months ago, I was in Spain, and Mariano Loret de Mola, who by the way was one of my first heroes. When I went to Belen, I used to see Mariano dribble in the basketball court. I wanted to be like him, only taller. But Mariano called me, as I was in Spain in March, and he said to me, Oliva, it's not looking good. We don't have any evidence. We have very little evidence, and it's true, we have little evidence. Why? As some of you know, when you left Cuba, they searched you, they took everything you had, even, some cases they even took your wedding rings if you were married. So evidence was not a priority. And of course, the fact of the matter that we embarrassed the regime did not give us a lot of evidence, because there was only a little photograph in one newspaper, because they didn't want to antagonize the regime. So we don't have a lot of evidence. But I can tell you, all of these men were great athletes. This man was one of the best baseball players in Belen. And he was a swimmer, and he was a soccer star, and he was a star, all around. They were all stars. The least qualified was me. I only played basketball, bench in basketball. But I was a good track and field guy. Then, and I'm not going to take a lot of time, but then, I was privileged to attend a Real Madrid game. And I was there at the presidential review or whatever, at the invitation of some of my friends that may have access to these people. And Javier Sotomayor, who some of you may know, is still the reigning record holder for high jump in the world, was walking by. And somebody said to me, because he was Cuban, I was Cuban, so, there's only one. come up to him, so I said, I also participated in the Barrientos event in 1960. And immediately he laid up, because, we recognize it. It was a very, and it still is today, it's a very competitive event. And we won. Belen won. And Belen, that was the last win that Belen, Cuban Belen had in 1960. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this concludes the ceremony. So I'm going to ask all inductees to please come forward, this year's inductees to come forward for a group picture. And after that, you're all free to take pictures as you wish. Remember that the chapel is open, and stay around if you want. Thank you all for coming.